Okay. I know that I had said I wouldn't make a video on fry screaming, but I lied. Just because while I might not be able to present new information that isn't already out there, I might be able to compile it a little bit. As somebody who's not as much a vocal teacher as a vocal student who finally got it, right? Who finally succeeded and learned the thing, just might be more helpful to have more information all in one video, along with common mistakes that I made and that you might make as well while you're learning to fry scream. So, yeah, I'm going to assume, again, for the sake of this, because I'm not a vocal teacher, I'm not properly equipped to train you how to properly breathe and how to properly sing. But I would encourage you, especially for fry screaming, you cannot really get away with fry screaming and not being able to sing. You may not like the tone of your voice or anything like that, but you need to understand the mechanics, and you need to understand how to do it without pain and how all that functions, how to breathe into the diaphragm, how to do all of those things. I can't really teach it to you, but please learn it. Please learn it. With false chord, you might be able to get away with just, figuring it out, just going up there and... But fry is just a different beast altogether, and I'd really encourage you to get some level of singing done. Another thing is, I think most people who watched the other videos are people who've tried to scream before. So I don't want to waste a lot of time going over what is fry? Because I imagine that the biggest problem isn't necessarily finding fry. It's usually projecting it in a healthy way and being confident that what you're doing is correct. I'll go over it real quick, but I think what most people get stuck on is what we call the whisper scream. So that's what the main focus of this is going to be on, is getting past that whisper sound into a real confident fry scream. And then last disclaimer, I promise, but I'm going to be saying things about the mechanics of your voice. I'm going to be talking from a perspective of how they feel to me. I've heard the terminology. I'm, 99.9% sure that I've got it right, but you know what? It's a possibility there isn't, because a lot of the things that I focus on when projecting screaming is mixed voice. And I've seen tutorials by absolutely professional, good vocalists who say, no, fry screaming isn't done through mixed voice. So maybe my method of fry screaming is like a hybrid with false chord, or maybe it's not true mixed voice, but mixed voice is a good stepping stone to get you where you need to be. Either way, look for consistency with how it feels, and see if it makes sense within the context of your singing and your voice, and use the terminology to help you get there, and then forget about it, right? I'm not an anatomist or a vocal coach. I figured out how to do this, trying to show you how to do it. Feel it out. If you find a better term for it, use that instead. Cool? Okay. So with fry screaming, the main source of the distortion comes from your lowest vocal register. There is also, some people say, soft palate stuff in there and false chord stuff in there, but you'll be able to feel it out. The one you need to identify and hone and be able to do on command is the fry. So, when you're thinking about your voice, think about it you have 4 registers. You have your whistle tone, which I can't do. We're not really going to be bothering with that in this case. You've got your falsetto, your chest voice, which is what I'm talking with right now, hello, and your fry, which is your lowest vocal register. It sounds like this, and sometimes it's on the tail end of when you're talking, right there. If you can't find fry, there's a couple things you can do. You can do a fake throw-up sound. You can just take your voice and go low and low and low, and it'll start rumbling. Or you can hold out a note and just reduce the air little by little until it becomes a crackle. Either way, fry is easy to find. Fry screaming is not. So, what you're going to want to do if you've got that fry sensation is project it into a voice. Now, if you project it into a chest voice, because there is so much when you're speaking in chest voice, your vocal cords are doing their own thing, right? They're closing, they're opening, they're moving in their own way to create the sound. So it doesn't work super well with fry. When you try to mix it with fry, like what I just did there by accident, but it'll normally come on the tail end of a word. You'll say something, and it'll cut off into fry. But it's very hard to keep them both going at the same time because chest voice is a bit more active. So, it's hard to combine chest voice and fry because it always feels like you're just going back and forth between the two instead of truly combining them. So, what a lot of people will encourage you to do, and it is definitely a good step, is to combine falsetto and fry. Because falsetto has a much more open position of the vocal cords. And now, fry is caused by them flapping. It's a little bit, it's hard to explain. The motion is different, but the problem with chest and fry is that it's different but also close together. Falsetto is different enough that you can visualize them as two separate things and combine them without them running over each other. You can truly do a falsetto and a fry at the same time. Whereas with chest, it's usually going to be chest and fry, chest and fry, chest and fry, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth really fast instead of a proper mix between the two. So, when you're using your ranges to scream, you use chest to find fry. Chest, all the way down, find fry. You use falsetto to mix fry. And you combine like that, and it gives you that sound. Right? The problem is most people will stop like that and try to just be louder or more intense there and be like, well, that's not a proper fry scream. It's not. You could, I guess, hold a microphone up here, turn it way up and be like, because I can be the young. And if that's what you start at, it's not that bad, but it's not going to feel like you're a metal vocalist. It's not going to feel like you really have good control. It's going to be squeaky. It's going to be quiet. So you don't want to stay just in falsetto. You want to find a way to project it without just being louder. And I find that the best way to project it is in mixed voice. So, chest voice, fine fry. Chest, lower, fry. Falsetto, combined with fry. Don't worry if it's quiet, it can be as quiet as it needs to be because that's not how you're going to project it, at least not with this method. Okay, so now we've got mixed voice. What mixed voice is halfway, not even halfway, but it's between your chest voice and falsetto. It's using different parts of both of them. Usually you can get a good bit higher with your mixed voice than you can get with your chest voice, which helps you get those high screams, but it's a lot louder, more supported than your falsetto, and you're able to, it sounds more like just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just got a chesty tone to it that won't sound as airy or weak or crackly. So it's very useful when doing your mixed voice, when doing your fry screams, to use your mixed voice to project it. And so the way you're going to find mixed voice is you're going to think falsetto up here, chest voice down here. We know mixed voice is somewhere in between. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up to it from chest voice. We're going to come down to it from head voice. So chest voice, to get up into mixed voice, I would do like a Patrick Star noise, personally. Hey! Very yawny, very open. Don't think of it as like pushing, stretching your voice to get way up there. That's not a low note, at least not for me. But I didn't strain, I didn't push my vocal cords all the way up here. I started with a comfortable chest. Kind of throw it very gently. It'll be loud without it, but it doesn't feel like a belt. It doesn't feel like you're pushing real hard. You're just yawning, making that, hey, SpongeBob, hey, going up like that, okay? So that's how you're going to get it going up, or at least something close to mixed voice. Then, going down, you're going to take your falsetto note. And you're going to start, you may notice your falsetto is real breathy. Very raspy, very breathy. What you're going to do is try and imitate almost like an opera singer. You're going to get a very full falsetto, a very full sounding falsetto. Again, the little bit of yawning opening up does help, but this is the difference. Thin and weak. Right there. And you're going to thicken that sound, bring it down, thicken that sound more and more and more until you reach, it may reach a vocal crack before it hits it. Usually, you may even hit like some raspiness before it hits it. That's exciting. But you're going to bring that down and you're going to try and find out what those have in common. What feels the same in your throat when you start low, with your patch of voice, and what that has in common with your falsetto when you go down, or when you thicken rather. Right? Don't be afraid of voice cracks, don't be afraid of funky sounds. You're going to find where those have things in common. And you're going to end up with something around like that. That's going to be your mixed voice. You're going to be able to hit higher tones than you can in your chest, but it's going to have some falsetto action as well. Why that's important? Your screams are going to project. You're going to be able to visualize the fry sound because you're using falsetto. So you're going to be able to properly combine them, not just switch off, but you're going to have power. And then the way that I would visualize the screams is make the fry sound and then have it somewhere between your register and your mix. So for a voiced scream, you want the fry sound to come in between your chest voice and your mix. Somewhere in between, maybe a little closer to mix. So, and then make that fry sound, whether fake throwing up or harsh whisper, whatever it is. Boom. You have a voiced scream. You can lock it down, make it more precise. That one right there wasn't super precise, but it was a voiced scream. It didn't hurt, it was loud, it had a note in it, and I think you can work from that. And then for the voiceless ones, you're going to go between your mix and your falsetto. Make that same thing. Some kind of fry sound. You know how to make it, I'm assuming, if you've gotten this far. That's going to be your more voiceless one. So don't think of them as much as high or low screams. If it's a low voiceless, you're still going to have it between mix and falsetto. If it's a high voice, you're still going to have it between chest and mix. So try and introduce that fry sensation as you're moving into your mixed voice. Get that projection where there's a little bit of falsetto but also support going on, where you can get that volume. And that's the good thing about mixed voice is it helps you make loud noises without feeling like you're really belting or like you're really pushing. If you're not making loud, pretty high mixed voice noises, maybe don't try adding in the fry scream until you've got doing that down. And then you can start adding it in, adding the fry in, and it's going to feel a lot more natural. And you're going to be able to feel like you can not push more, but like you can project more and put a little more grit into it, because you don't feel like a metal singer when you're doing the whisper scream, right? When you're doing this, you don't really feel that cool. Even if you can turn it up in your microphone to make it louder, you know that's not the metal, that's not the freedom, that's not the expressiveness that you can get if you were able to be loud and at least fry scream as loud as you can sing. So I would try doing that with the mixed voice first, really, really get that mixed voice down. And the other thing I would say is the opposite of what I would say for false chord. With false chord, the problem is people are too aggressive because they've been told this is an aggressive scream, and they accept more pain, they accept more, I don't know, just more tension, more air, more blasting than they really should. With fry, it's the opposite. We've been told it's a quiet scream, it's a gentle scream, it's better for your throat, and so we're kind of afraid to, or at least I was when I was learning, when I was stuck on the whisper scream. I was like, well, it doesn't hurt, so that's got to be good, right? 1 or 2 bad screams is not going to ruin you. If you're sick and you have an awful cough, that's way worse for your throat than this, but it still happens and you still usually recover from it. Don't scream wrong on a tour for 3 months at a time. But don't be afraid to be aggressive and find things out about your voice. Scream wrong 1 or 2 times per session. You're going to be okay, and then you're going to get it right because you're going to learn what feels good and what doesn't. Don't be afraid of your voice, and don't be afraid of your scream. Just find that mixed voice. Add in that fry. And you'll be good.